something definitely targeted over at Czaru. You want to get him out of his comfort zone, but it's going to be hard to do.
So right now, Zed going to be banned out here, as is Zyro. So they don't want Libik having that Zyro, which he's done fantastically on a very controlling support champion, which is something that Meaty Makers always like to have in there. Evelyn also going to be taken out here by Meaty Makers, as is Fizz, which Nukeduck obviously played yesterday.
I'm surprised that drawed a ban. I mean, he did really well with it yesterday, but to spend it on Fizz, it's like there's so many other champions out there that you could use it on. Either way, they do take away the Elise. Lemondogs not letting Kubon actually play that. And I remember yesterday when that was banned against him versus NIP, you saw the look on Kubon's face. He's like, oh, come on, guys. I just want to play Elise. Why'd you take that away from me? And it looks like we will have that final ban come in.
Yeah, and the thing is, they banned Fizz because Lemondogs have last pick and they wanted that Twisted Fate, which, you know, Nunu was the final ban here for Lemondogs. That could have quite as easily have been a Twisted Fate or a Shen. One thing that Meaty Makers knew once it gets down to 2 bans is that it can't be both of them.
The thing is, though, the downside to picking Twisted Fate early on, Nukeduck plays Kassadin. He can play it really well. So if you last pick Kassadin against a Twisted Fate, you can shut him down really well. You can be very mobile. It looks like Zorozero will actually be on that Shen, so he's going to be on that tanky top lane champion, which he's really used to lately. He did play Lissandra yesterday, and it worked out pretty well, but going to go back to his roots, and we do have Thresh getting through. We saw how strong that was in the game just previously over on Jerry, and it might be that effective again.
Well, that would be a lot if wewillfailer could actually land his hooks from this one, as is always is, of course, with the likes of Thresh and Blitzcrank. If you miss your hooks, you don't get those opportunities. So then, Meaty Makers, what are they going to go in with here now? Possibly the jungler, as we see Nautilus being picked up here for Mokatte, who has played a lot of Nautilus so far.
Yeah, so Lemondogs, they took away Shen from Mokatte by letting Zorozero play in the top lane, most likely. Could be in the jungle, because Mokatte does play that, obviously. So they're forced him to play that Nautilus, which is pretty much his second go-to champion, the Draven, actually. So I talked with Deficio from NIP just a little bit earlier today, and I was saying, you know, what was with the bans that you guys went against NIP, or against Meaty Makers, because they banned, actually, they took Draven as their first pick. And he said, well, for some reason, I looked at Makler's profile the other day, and he had 7 Draven games in a row. So we thought that they wanted to play him, so we took that away from him, so he couldn't. And they're actually going to be able to pick up this time, and I wonder how strong his Draven actually is.
I'd say pretty strong if he's willing to pick it up in a very important game, in my opinion, this one. Both teams, you know, Meaty Makers been 5 for 4, Lemondogs on the other side at 4 for 5. This game could even them up depending which way it goes. So an important one here. And I say mid-table, it's almost top of the table at this point, because everyone below them is pretty much tied on 4 for 6 at this stage. We're going to see Jarvan locked in here. That's going to be going over towards Dexter, and it looks like Tabzz will have the Ezreal. Okay,
so he started out with Caitlyn a lot, Tabzz, but now he's switching over to some other AD champions, proving he can play pretty much anything if he needs to. And I want to see what the Jarvan's going to be comboed with. So you have a really tanky front line now with Shen, with Jarvan, but you have to pair that in with something that has high damage. And what is Nukeduck actually going to use? It could potentially be the Kassadin to roam around and pick up some kills, as we do see Meaty Makers. I've actually seen Kubon play Aurelia before, and if I remember correctly, I'm not 100% sure, I think he actually, in my opinion, was one of the best Aurelia players I've seen ever in Europe.
He was a very prolific Aurelia player back in the day when Aurelia was seen a lot more often. I think her days have been somewhat up for quite a while. We've seen the odd appearance. Kevin, of course, from SK brought her out a couple of times in the spring split, but it will be an Aurelia. The first time that we've seen Aurelia actually here in the summer split, and it seems like Nukeduck will have Kassadin for this one, which is something that you said directly once that Twisted Fate was locked in.
And you have to, that means Mokatte is going to have to visit mid lane quite a bit if they're going to go one-on-one, because he needs to shut him down before he gets level 6, before he becomes almost impossible to gank. So
unshutdownable.
New word. like
it's
burstable.
A real English word, I believe.
Really?
Believe it possibly is.
It now
maybe.
is. It now is if it wasn't.
Maybe it is. Like Subliminal, which I brought out earlier on, which was using completely the wrong context. Awesome.
But anyways, I mean, the Nami. So let's talk about the AD carry support lane. Have Draven Nami, which is a really strong combo.
Yeah.
I mean, Draven's already fast because of one of his abilities, but then you speed him up with Nami, you give him a slow. That's really hard to deal with. So I wouldn't be surprised if they actually go against Shen and allow Ezreal and allow Thresh to go farm in another lane, because it's really hard to go head-to-head against a Draven nowadays. And I wouldn't be surprised. That should be what happens. But we saw wewillfailer actually yesterday use Janna, and he had heal on obviously the support, and it actually saved Lemondogs in quite a few fights against Fnatic, if I remember correctly.
Well, I don't think we're going to be seeing that throw-in today. It looks like Ignite on Flash is what he's going to be going for here. On the other side, pretty standard stuff. Czaru's got Teleport, even though he's playing Twisted Fate, which is something that Czaru does all the time, literally every single time. It doesn't matter who he is, he likes to play with that teleport.
Yeah, he needs more than one. Like, one is never enough for him. Yeah, he wants to be on the bottom side of the map, but then a second later be at the top side. And, I mean, we've talked about it so many times. Is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing for Czaru? He's made it work really well sometimes. It's not worked out so well some other times. We've seen so many opportunities where he could have picked up the kill if he was, in fact, running that Ignite. And when you're against, right now, Nukeduck, who is running Flash Ignite on his Kassadin, he can kill you. Like, you have to have some sort of defense against that, and that means he's not looking to pick up any kills in lane.
Well, now we see the Lemondogs on your screen looking very quiet today. They are a loud bunch, actually. They may seem to be very shy, but I think once they get going, these guys can be very loud. Meteor Makers, I'd say a very similar demeanor, even, you know, with the size of Libik, who looks like he should, by all rights, scream as loud as Aranea every time he opens his mouth. Pretty quiet guy as well. So really interested to see how this one goes. As he said, 5 for 4 Meteor Makers. Lemondogs currently sat out 4 for 5. So if Lemondogs can pick this one up, they'll actually be tied.
And the thing is, we mentioned, I think at the top of the show, is that the bottom 4 beat the top 4 yesterday. And Lemondogs now are almost on the top side of, well, actually, they pretty much are. They're in the middle / top right now. And to have all of the 3 new teams coming into Spring Split of LCS being the top of the standings is pretty much, was unexpected.
So here we go then, into game, Meteor Makers versus Lemondogs, our final game of week 3 here in the European LCS. Let's see how this one all works out. As the early flags coming down there from Dexter just to check that they weren't camping in that brush off to the side. And a ward that was put down from wewillfailer will actually spot this early invade from Meteor Makers.
So they're being very aggressive right off the bat. It looks like they will be able to secure that blue away, but I was taking a... Oh, actually, they're just going to ward up. They're just putting some deep wards in and are going to back away. And I was taking a look at runes real quick, or in masteries, before we actually got underway, and Makler's using 9% lifesteal and 3% spell up, obviously from the utility tree, but 2 armor pen, 2 flat armor pen. Every Draven we've seen so far in the Spring Split of LCS has been using, or sorry, Summer Split of LCS has been using 19 armor pen, or around that range, because they want to be able to just chunk you down right away. And considering that Zorozero has a door and shield and the health pot, it looks like he will be in that 1v2 situation. But Meteor Makers, they're warding up everything, and they have like no wards left to go back to lane with. This is very dangerous.
Now, there's still one there for Libik, and as you said, it's kind of surprising because of the fact that you've got that Nami in there. It only takes 1 good Aqua Prison to actually land, and you've got 3 damage basically coming out there. So obviously Makler going a different route, but who are we to question how he's going to build it there, and we'll see how that one all works out for him in the end. Kassadin did put this ward down as well on the blue buff of Meteor Makers, so we'll see if they go for anything. There was Nukeduck and Kubon just pretty much face-checking each other there in the bottom, but this is the interesting thing from the start. Lemondogs going to be stealing away the red.
And the thing is that Meteor Makers doesn't know that's happening, because Lemondogs has a ward at the blue buff, so they know where Mokatte is. They're going to know if he's going to head towards the red or not, or go down towards his own red, but they're going to be able to get their own blue, get their own red here, and that's going to give Dexter a very strong start. Actually, they're sending Makler middle. So it looks like they want to really contest these buffs as Libik getting caught. And remember, Dexter has red buff here. This could be very bad.
Probably not going to be able to get away from this one very easily without the use of that flash. But Mokatte coming from that top side as well will force Dexter to back away. The Kassadin, of course, up to level 6, not exactly the most mobile of champions.
Yeah, I mean, Kubon taking heavy damage, but I'm forced to flash right away. But we have to remember that Czaru, or Twisted Fate against a Kassadin, Twisted Fate won't win that in the end. As we do see, Mokatte actually invading here, gets Dexter pretty low.
Yeah, Dexter is going very low, but that's the beauty of the Draven. He's able to slide away, but can he actually contest here for this blue buff? We have Thresh and Ezreal both coming in to join this one as well. Mokatte gonna smite that one down there, and that will refresh his blue buff as they go into wewillfailer. He will flash away as well from that one. Ignite's gonna go down. They go in for wewillfailer, but Mokatte is falling low here. Who's gonna go down first? It is gonna be Mokatte, and it was wewillfailer who picked it up. Libik's gonna die here. Now Makler's gonna be the champion of choice to go for. He will fall. That's a kill coming down for Dexter, and now they turn around onto Kubon. This is a crazy start. Already 3 men down for one team, 1 for the other, and with that, Lemondogs deciding enough is enough. They're happy with that initial trade.
Wow, what a great play of Lemondogs trying to pick up those 3 kills right off the bat. If I remember correctly, they did get first blood right there, but Wow, I mean, Meatmakers just overextend their stay a little bit. They had the numbers because they had Makler and Libik obviously from the middle lane, but wow, that is not the start you want to see. Mokatte, level 3, he wanted to keep those buffs for as long as possible, but now, you know, Dexter, who didn't get the blue right away, was able to get it in the end, and now he's going to be able to gank a lot earlier than Mokatte will.
And if we look where those kills went as well, 1 for Jarvan, 1 for Ezreal, 1 for the support Fresh, and 2 assists pretty much across the border for them as well. And right now they're going to be going in once again on towards Makler. Not quite got the damage, but now it's turned around again. Dexter's got double buffs on. He's going to fall. It's Mokatte that picks them up. I think buffs have been exchanged here another time.
Too bad we're not going to see every single member of the game have at least 1 buff. That would be hilarious, but great job on Mokatte, realizing that Dexter will most likely come around middle again. He's actually going to steal away the red from Dexter here. And it's actually a fantastic play. I mean, Meatmakers, from the mess up they just had, to come back like that was phenomenal, and it really keeps them in the game.
Shen actually left that top lane, which is why Mokatte started to back away. He's actually a level less than Shen here, but honestly, Shen at level 4, it's not as if he's pumping out a ton of damage towards you. But that red buff is going to be started here. There is an ignite up for Mokatte. They actually joined the game in the wrong order there, which I just noticed, as we are going to see the kill on towards Kubon down in that bottom lane. Looked far too easy, that one for the Lemondogs.
Yes, it definitely did, and now we praised Kubon actually earlier in the before the game started about being a fantastic Aurelia, but he hasn't been able to show it just yet. And Meatmakers being a very aggressive middle, they're shutting down Nukeduck very well, and that's what they needed to do. Whenever you see that cast in, you don't let him get that 1v1, and you don't give him the opportunity to hit level 6 early on and be able to roam around.
So the outer turret in mid lane already taking a bit of hammer from Meatmakers. Are they going to be able to stop them doing this here? I mean, there's always that danger that Libik will pull them up. We can see Lemondogs are looking to make sure that they get that first turret of the game here. A lot of pressure, and they will probably be able to take it with this wave, actually. Kubon has started to come back in. Question is, do Lemondogs really want to get rid of it so early on? Kubon is going to get hooked in, but they decide not to follow things up, and the minions themselves are going to take down this tower.
This is very unusual for Lemondogs because they are the slowest first turret taking team at 13:10, which if you look at their counterparts, Meatmakers, the second quickest at 8 minutes and 23 seconds in the summer split. Like, that's not a good sign. We mentioned how many times that Meatmakers, if they don't get the first turret, if they don't get control of the game early on, they tend to just slip away and eventually lose the game. And I want to see if they've been able to fix that overnight.
Not going to be something that you can, I think, so easily fix
overnight.
It's definitely that's a big problem for them at this point, as we are seeing Makler and Libik still putting down the pressure here onto this middle outer turret. Nukeduck actually going to be recalling here, so I'll leave things pretty open for Makler and Libik to be doing even more damage. And I think as soon as he spots Mokatte coming in, he realizes that that turret is in some real danger. He's called Dexter in to give him some help as well.
And Mokatte's just sticking around middle quite a bit right now. We do see actually wewillfailer coming up from behind them here. Are they actually going to go for an attack? But no, it looks like they're going to back away, let that tower go, so now we're going to be tied up here.
For me, that's a bit of a mistake from Lemondogs. I don't think that they needed to lose that turret like they did there. I think a bit more pressure would have worked it out for them, but in the end, credit to where it's due for Meatmakers picking that one up. Still leaves us with a 600 gold lead for the Lemondogs, obviously with that 4-2 kill score right now. If you look down the early CS, Twisted Fate versus Kassadin, 45-17. That's a ridiculous lead already for Czaru.
And I'm curious how we really look at this in the end, because I mean, obviously we had the AD carry middle lane, so if you look middle versus middle, he's up a large amount of CS. If you look him versus AD carry, he's still up in CS. If you look at him versus top lane, he's still up. So overall, Makler's been doing a phenomenal job of just farming away, not to mention keeping Nukeduck out-farmed right now. I mean, we saw this happen yesterday where he was playing Fizz. He was getting out-farmed, he wasn't able to make any plays early on, but eventually when he was finally level 6, when he was finally able to roam around and pick up some kills, he turned that around completely.
Right now, Lemondog's going to be stealing away the blue buff of Meatmakers, which Twisted Fate, you know, he gets that natural mana back, obviously, from his blue card, but still, blue buff's a nice thing to have, especially with the changes to Destiny at these lower levels.
Exactly. Yeah, he definitely needs that cooldown reduction so he can ult around quite a bit more. But, you know, being the top lane, the only lane he can really gank from there is middle. Usually, if you see Twisted Fate top, he'll just back to base, he'll actually just head straight to bottom and then, you know, make that gank happen while, you know, the jungler will go top lane and then defend the turret. But either way, looks like...
Well, you say that, but it's Czaru and he's running teleport.
That is true. That is definitely true. You know, sometimes I forget about that. It's like Twisted Fate. He doesn't have 2 teleports, but we do see Lemondogs actually with a pink ward on wewillfailer, so Dragon is a possibility, or he could just clear out a ward on their own blue, because they did see that come down.
Yeah, they're going to be in there right now. The AD carries are slugging it out in that bottom lane. Tabzz currently got a bit of a disadvantage when you compare him over towards Makler, who's right now 11 CS ahead of him. We'll see with that BF sword if he decides to go aggressive at some point. Right now, Nukeduck and Dexter going to be dealing with the blue buff. No, Dexter actually took that one.
That is a mistake. I'm not sure what exactly happened right there. I mean, they were under no threat. They had a pink ward spotting anyone coming in. And Nukeduck, he has a tier. He needs that stack. He needs to be able to get around with his Rift Walk, and it uses so much mana that he doesn't have the blue, then he's not going to be able to do that. And now that's going to shut him down for a lot longer, where he can't roam around. He can't pick up kills, and he's against an Aurelia right now.
On the other side, it does give Dexter that boost that he, to the lead that he already has over Mokatte in levels and in CS as well. Currently 41 to 23 on that front. We are going to see Dexter now coming on towards the top. Czaru just flashing away from the Cataclysm. Well,
there you go, talking about the blue buff. I mean, having that available, Cataclysm's not going to be down that long, so to be able to make that happen again very shortly. And so you do see Kubon, he actually pushed lane very quickly. He's still ahead right now, technically, of Nukeduck. And he is behind, obviously, the Zorozero. We do see the 3-man push from MYM's bottom lane. They already got one turret, and they're trying to be aggressive. They're trying to take control of this game. And if Lemondogs don't stop this, if they don't do something about it, then honestly, MYM can kind of snowball this.
Now I see Aqua Prism actually landing, but MYM's a little bit wary of that hook to come out and decided not to really follow on. If you look at the gold, it's completely equalized itself up now. There's around about 100 difference between the two teams. But, you know, talking about that blue buff, and the fact is that Nukeduck, honestly, he's not got much room to be roaming around right now that you know, love to see with a Cassidy, quite frankly, because he is so far behind at this stage that he needs to be in that lane.
And he has to remember, he's against Meteor Makers. We know them now as a team that wards your jungle like crazy. They'll put down as many wards as possible to get vision across the entire jungle. So if he was going to do that, it would have to be down the lane, which means he'd be really far away from getting back and keeping his CS up, which... Look how much he's down. 53 currently to his counterpart in the top lane.
Oh, there's Czaru actually getting taunted up.
I was like, my math sucks. It's 43.
I brushed over it because I'm not a maths man either. As Czaru actually going to pop Destiny and says, I saw you coming there, Nukeduck. You're not going to get me. And that will open up a dragon with the fact that Cassidy's got up to the top. And yes, he does have Rift Walk, but is he really going to be able to get down here fast enough? As we are going to see the True Shot Barrage coming across, the ultimate going in on towards wewillfailer, and they throw everything at the Thresh. He is going to fall. There is Czaru teleporting in around the back. Now they focus on towards Tabzz. Or when I say focus, I'll say that in the lightest terms, because really they didn't decide to go in for him after he got stunned up. And now Jarvan's coming in. Nukeduck is at the back as well. This could actually be dangerous for MYM.
I mean, they only got one kill off of this, and now they're being forced away here, and that means that Lemondogs might be able to pick up Dragon themselves if they want to go for it, but it looks like they're just comfortable with going back, just farming away, and MYM's going to go for a 4-man push here. Potentially 5-man, as it looks like Czaru will be back, and so 4-man push on this bottom turret, and they're looking for the second one of the game.
Let's see if they can actually get this one down. There's 3 men there right now for Lemondogs. The Jarvan that's got Cataclysm available already. The fact is that you've got Shen in there as well, who can taunt you up underneath the turret. Not the easiest bunch of champions to be taking a turret from right under their nose, but seems like MYM are just going to wedge themselves in for it.
You know, considering that Mokatte got shut down really early on by having his red buff taken away, I mean, obviously we were able to pick up kills, and actually no, he died, sorry about that. But he's actually been equal in levels as Dexter, because he's been sticking in these lanes, because he's been helping shove, he's been getting that free experience, and it hasn't let Dexter get really far ahead of him. The CS isn't that different between the two, it's mostly in the other lanes at this point.
Yeah, Aurelia are actually pretty much the only one behind if you take away the jungle, because Mokatte really has just been in those lanes constantly, and he's going to be farming that one straight back up. Has gone in towards that middle lane as well. Gone for that Sheen first of all, picking up the Ruby Crystal there. Looks like he's going straight in for a good old Trinity Force.
And we hardly see those anymore these days. And he might actually go like a kind of full DPS build with Aurelia, building into a Blade of the Rune King right after, then getting straight tank after that. So, Makler was getting stopped backing away right there, but honestly, like, once he picks up that Triforce, even before then, he's going to have so much damage, but who do you hit? It's pretty much only Tabzz at this point, because Zorozero can be very strong tank, Dexter as well, and getting into the back lines against Tabzz, who's an Ezreal, is going to be very hard, so sticking to a champion he's going to have a tough time to do.
Well, the fact is, if they can manage to do that, you know, Shen and Jarvan are not going to be putting out the massive amounts of damage that they're going to need to be winning these fights, especially, you know, with the likes of Draven in there who can take you down very, very quickly anyway. The Dragon, of course, wasn't taken earlier on. That one is still living somehow. And they may try to close in on that one. Nukeduck here going to be stood on top of a ward. Kubon got full vision of him there. And they seem to be a little bit wary, Meet You Makers, of going for it.
Yeah, I'm not... Well, I don't know. It's like a very weird point in the game. Like, it's a very intense point in the game where if you do go for it and you lose it, you can fall really far behind. Where Meet You Makers, like we said before, they want to be in control. They're trying to force Lemondogs to react, but they don't really care at this point. You know, Czaru, he doesn't have his teleport up to get down there, but obviously Zorozero will with his ultimate in a few seconds. So Meet You Makers trying to make something happen, but nothing's really coming of this. If anything, Nukeduck's just getting free farm middle.
Well, this blue buff may go over to Meet You Makers. They sent a 4-man team up there to make sure that they can capture this one. We've got Dexter over the side, and actually Dexter did manage to pick that one up, so nicely done from Lemondogs.
But Nukeduck's a little sad walking away with his head down, like,
walked in as if,
I
like,
wanted it.
Oh, yeah, but he doesn't get it again. But, you know, he has got a little bit of CS under his belt, but the problem there with that as well is that Czaru himself has been farming this entire time, and he's up to 130 CS now. He's
going to be a real pain to deal with. And you mentioned something earlier about Shen and Jarvan not having that much damage, and we've seen the meta kind of go towards a 3 DPS team with the top laner being like half tank, half damage at the same time. Because if you have, you know, a tanky top laner, like a straight tank top lane, a straight pretty much tank jungle, which you normally will have, that means if your mid lane and your AD carry gets shut down early on, which so far it's happened, then you're not going to have any damage in these team fights. So Meet You Makers, they have that, you know, 2.5 DPS team right now, and it's really hard to deal with for Lemondogs. I mean, obviously they have the tank lineup, but when it comes to that point in the game when they're going 5v5, Meet You Makers will out-damage them, and Lemondogs can't out-tank that.
And we see Cassidy headed up to that Rod of Ages, which itself takes time. Even when you've managed to get the money in there to buy it, it's still going to take time to charge itself up. So that's the, you know, going to be a little bit of time before Nukeduck can really be getting involved. Certainly not had the impact on the game that you'd like to probably see from a Cassidy, especially with a Twisted Fate on the map, but that's simply because Meet You Makers have done their most favourite thing in the world and controlled the pace and the style of this game all on their own, and we are going to see them now going on towards Tabzz. They need to be careful though. Dexter is here off to the side as the tidal wave comes around. Kubon actually coming through here as the ultimate comes out from Dexter. There is Kubon. Czaru going to join in as well. The Cataclysm going to lock a couple of them up, but are they going to be able to get through for this? Czaru has pulled the stun card. There are the wild cards to take out wewillfailer, and that will be a straight 2 for 0 and quite possibly another turret.
Yeah, easily. And you saw Meet You Makers, they actually killed Tabzz before Zorozero could get there and really help out. It's a fantastic job. And they're trying to defend this turret as much as they can, but against the 5 members of Meet You Makers, that's not going to happen. And I was going to say a little bit earlier that Nukeduck, even though he's down in CS, he hasn't died in lane, which is really hard, or it's really easy to do, easily to die, but he has 2 assists, and he snowballed like that last game with his Fizz, but with the way Meet You Makers is playing, as a Dragon looks like finally will be taken down after 16.5 minutes, then he could catch up.
Oh, Czaru actually going in here on towards Zorozero, and probably not much of a dent that you can put onto him at this point, although Czaru does have that Rabadon's death cap already finished up in that one. If we look down the AD carries, both currently got a Bloodthirster, but I think Draven's got a whole lot of money to spend here.
Yeah, it looks like he probably will, as he does back with 1,800 at this point. And that is going to be very deadly. He's going to be going for that Last Whisper relatively soon to pick up. And not to mention, as we saw the gold really quickly, Kubon sitting on 2,000 gold. So he's going to have that Trinity Force when he goes back, or when he decides to finally go back, when he has, like, when he's comfortable with how much money he currently has. And he's going to be very dangerous when these fights start to begin.
Well, he is going to be headed back right now. Going to be picking up the Phage here. As you said, he's got already that money for the Trinity Force already pretty much saved up. He's been saving a while for that one. The Dragon and those 2 turrets really coming in handy at that point. So that's, you know, that's already the first major item that he wanted to get on that Irelia. If it was Season 2, we'd be talking about, you know, get a GA and you're all set now.
Exactly.
Not quite the same year anymore, but we may end up seeing him going in towards that Guardian Angel later on. There was a pickaxe picked up there as well for Draven, also upgrading those boots to Berserker Greaves. And the thing is, we've got that tier stack in here on Ezreal once again. And we know that if an Ezreal goes down a certain route when he's behind, he's going to find it hard to get back in. Yeah. I think especially against someone like Draven, who is literally in your face.
And the thing is, it was blue build that he's ended up going pretty much. So if you fall behind, definitely, like you said, you're not going to be able to catch up that easily. And he actually bought tier first, which is a little bit unusual. As Double talked about, you know, if you're going to go blue build, I believe it was Double Lift, then you need to go for a damage item first. You have to have something to, you know, really keep you in lane, to keep you in terms of damage equal with your counterpart. So that's going to be a little bit dangerous. But you do see Nukeduck, like you mentioned before, picked up the Rowdy Ages, but it's going to take time to stack.
We'll be stacking as we go here. Your makers right now are actually grouping up towards this inner turret in the mid lane. They've already taken down all 3 outer turrets. They've taken the inner turret in the bottom lane. They're up 4-1 right now, and not far away from 6,000 gold in the lead, which is a pretty big amount at 19 minutes in, as we are going to see that True Shot Barrage coming in. They've managed to hook Mokatte, and he's not quite as tanky as Meteor Makers would have been hoping for at this point. He gets taken very low, and now Lemondogs chasing.
They might? No, I don't think they're actually able to catch up here, but still, I mean, if maybe that silence went off a little bit quicker, they might have been able to burst Mokatte down, but still, that was Mokatte. That was like the tankiest member of Meteor Makers, and he didn't last that long at all. So it's going to make Lemondogs feel good. And I was wondering, you know, we mentioned against Fnatic, when they were behind, they still made, you know, ballsy plays, really aggressive plays, and it worked out for them. And they haven't done that just yet. I'm waiting for those to come in.
Looks like they're going to be going for more buff control as Tabzz forced to Arcane Shift completely away. That takes him out of, you know, the danger here of coming around to take their own blue buff. I almost said steal there because it feels like Meteor Makers own this buff at this point. And if we look again at the mini-map, this is something that we talked about before with Meteor Makers. The amount of wards that they put down in your jungle once those outer turrets go down is ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm really, I want to talk to Libik about that because it's a hit or miss. Like, it can work really well for you, or in other cases it can work really bad if the team pushes against you and you're not fighting on that side of the map. But think of what he could have bought if he didn't put that many wards down. Like, he could have a Philo Stone, so he could be building up, you know, some GP10 there. He could have actually gone maybe a little bit of AP item if he wanted. But I mean, I don't know. It's been working out extremely well for them so far in the summer split. I wonder if it'll keep working out that way.
Well, that's the key, as you said. If they force you back and those wards don't quite mean as much, but with those outer turrets down, it's always hard because that generally means that you're behind in the game anyway if you've lost all 3 of your outer turrets and that you can't really afford to fight, so therefore you can't really push back in terms of map control. But if we look here, Libik coming into this top side does have that Oracle now running, so he's going to be clearing what little vision the Lemondogs actually have. And Zorozero going to find him there. He knew that Kubon was around somewhere and didn't want to get involved in that.
Shoot fish, go back to the water is what he said to him. And we do see the CS lead. It's building up even more. It's almost 100 CS between the mid laners, or the quote-unquote mid laners with Czaru and Nukeduck at this point, and that is ridiculous. Look how much more gold overall that Czaru has. That's insane. I mean, on a Twisted Fate who can split push on you easily, if he goes for the Lich Bane relatively soon, it's going to be so hard to deal with him. And just the death cap he has, the wave clear, where Lemondogs doesn't have wave clear. Like, they can just constantly shove the lanes as much as they want. He does have blue buff this time, and he actually went for Distortion Boots, so the teleport can be on a really quick cooldown as well as the flash.
Yeah, pick those Distortion Boots up, I think before the death cap actually, or maybe in the same round, since they did have that time in the game where they did get a big chunk of gold with Dragon and kills, and those 2 bottom lane turrets as well. Right now, though, settling down a little bit as both teams fight for that control of the jungle, where the Oracles and those Ruby Sightstones really coming into play. Meteor Makers have now started to group up, see if they're able to push in. That turret is not super healthy at this point, as they are going to land the hook there on towards Dexter. Actually gets hit with the bubble as well. Will they try and turn this around to your Lemondogs? I think they were waiting for wewillfailer to maybe grab one.
And I kind of like what Meteor Makers is doing, but it's also working against them. So if they're not able to get damage onto the turret, since they're all grouped up like this, anyone on Lemondogs just split pushes themselves, they're going to start out-leveling them. Look at Zorozero between him and Kubon. He already has a 2-level advantage. Obviously, you know, with Czaru and Nukeduck, it's pretty much in the same boat there, but they're pretty much limiting themselves on experience right now.
Yeah, actually 3 levels between Czaru and Nukeduck at this point. And Nukeduck, you know, been a bit of a non-starter so far this Kassadin. And that's really down to how Meteor Makers set themselves up in the lanes here. We're going to see another Dragon coming into play now, and Meteor Makers already set up for this one.
It looks like they'll be just pretty much giving away to them completely, and they're shutting down Lemondogs, where they usually excel at these Dragons, since they're tied for first about how many Dragons they've gotten so far in the summer split with alternate. So they're pretty much shutting them down in terms of that case. Like, they know the plan that Lemondogs wants to make happen, but they're not letting that actually, you know, go through. And because of that, you look at these item differences where Kubon, he has a Giant's Belt now, so he's getting to that point where he's going to be really hard to deal with, especially for Tabzz, who, you know, doesn't really have Last Switcher built up just yet. It won't be built for a little bit longer, and Kubon should be very close to getting, you know, a very tanky, I believe he's going Random's Omen, so that Warden's Mail.
Yeah, gonna be a bit dangerous, I think, once they get to that point. And that gold lead just starting to creep to towards that 10,000 gold mark, to be honest. That's the way that it's certainly heading, 28.6 to 35.8 at this point. And Makler continuing to rack up the creeps as he pushes through this bottom lane. There's no inner turret there, so you'd have to push pretty far to actually do some serious damage with that one, which is not something that you want to do. Although, if anyone can do it, it's probably Meet Your Makers with the amount of wards that they like to put down in that enemy jungle. But for now, it has turned into that more... We can't really call it a stalemate here because it is right now heavily in favor of Meet Your Makers, but very much more passive game than it was earlier.
It's kind of Meet Your Makers slowly grinding Lemondogs into submission because Libik, this is his second Oracle of the game that he's picked up, and what he's doing is he's taking away every amount of vision that Lemondogs has in their own jungle and putting his own wards down. So that means they're strangling them in terms of gold off the jungle creeps, so they're slowly getting further and further ahead. The gold lead's getting further and further apart, and they're going to try to win that way, it looks like. Which honestly isn't really their style, but it's working out for them.
Well, they're going to be headed in once again towards that inner mid turret, and as soon as they do for a second or third or maybe even fourth time in a row, the True Shot Barrage comes through, clears out the minions, and they kind of go back to the drawing board of that halfway point here through that middle lane. We'll see if they can get any further out from that. But as you said, it's probably going to take another dragon or two here for Meet Your Makers to really be in their comfort zone. The Lich Bane is now added in towards that Rabadon's Death Cap. So now Czaru may be able to start split push, and as I say that, he is actually doing it right now up in that top lane.
Oh, Dexter, he is spotted there. He's going to go try to get the steal yet again, but either way, it means Nukeduck won't be able to get another blue, and he's got to be sad casting at this point. And I think that breaking point is going to come around Baron. And I say that because Meet Your Makers so far are the quickest first Baron taking team in the summer split of LCS at around 23:55, and they've only given up one Baron in the entirety so far of the split. So I think that's where they really like to close out the game, taking Baron and then just pushing for that win. But they get 2 turrets in a row off of that, and that 10,000 gold lead's almost right back.
Yeah, almost right in there. Wards replace those turrets and keep the vision high on this one. There's the flag coming over the top from Dexter just to see if they could figure out where Meet Your Makers were exactly. Libik needs to be careful there because that little Oracle sign above his head probably attracts a Jarvan or two inside of his own jungle. Like to get rid of that one for them, and you can see the kind of line of wards there. You can almost trace Libik's path through the jungle into that top lane and then down through the other side. So now they're doing everything that they really love to do at this point. It looks like Lemondogs, I don't know, maybe they're going to go for something a little bit desperate here. And as I say that, Destiny will probably just say, okay, back.
Yeah, they're going to back away off that one. But yeah, I mean, desperate and aggressive at the same time. Like we saw them against Fnatic, going for some big fights where they probably shouldn't win. And a big fight like that honestly would catch Meet Your Makers off guard, where they're like, they have all the vision on the other side of the map, but how are they going to fight without vision? Like, where they don't know where Lemondogs are, because they know where they are 100% of the time at this point, since they're constantly pushing onto the other side of the map.
Yeah, but 6 warning turrets. That tells a bit of a scary story here for Lemondogs. They've not been past the halfway line here for what feels like 13 minutes, almost half of the game or so by now. Meet Your Makers just, as you said, slowly but surely strangling them out, take those jungle creeps as they come up, make sure that vision actually remains. And that's the problem for wewillfailer. Number one is that can't really afford to keep picking up oracles or even an oracle at this point. Yeah. So he's had to put a little bit more into pink wards, which, you know, economically for the amount of wards that he's going to have to clear at this point, obviously don't work out on that sense either. So Lemondogs, they probably need a big play here.
They have no vision there, but I really want to know what the reason for this out of Meet Your Makers to grind it out like this, because SK, they did against Fnatic earlier today. Were able to get their first win because it seemed like they didn't know where to engage or how far ahead they were, but Meet Your Makers being almost 10,000 gold ahead, do they know this? Like, do they know they have this big of a lead? And they're going to start Baron here, but they're currently sitting on a ward, so we should see Lemondogs actually respond to this.
For me, I think Meet Your Makers should probably be backing away from this one. They've got vision of the enemy jungle. They know that they're going to be coming in, and for me, the positioning that they take there, MYM, just screams we don't want to fight yet.
Yeah, and that's just weird. When you have this big of a lead, you should be forcing these fights as much as possible, especially with your lineup that you have where Nukeduck, he can't assassinate anyone on your team just yet. Tabzz isn't that strong. He finally has his Muramana picked up, but he's going for looks like that Iceborne Gauntlet next, and you want to fight as soon as possible since you're this far ahead. Like, you're tanky, you have the damage. It's just about setting up the fight where you want to go. Maybe these losses they've been getting over these past couple of weeks is actually kind of throwing them off. Like, they don't know where to go from it.
Well, they go back in towards Baron now that they know that there is no vision in there, but the lack of any Meet Your Makers players around will probably give that one away as a True Shot Barrage comes through, and Meet Your Makers back off completely once again.
And I wonder how long they're going to keep this dance up. I mean, if anything, they've taken a lot of damage, they end up backing away, and that allows Lemondogs to pick up some farm every single time. And we do see still a huge lead between the mid laners, but I was about to say Nukeduck's catching up, but he's not really. He needs kills. Like, CS, it doesn't matter for him at this point. He needs to pick something up. And Lemondogs, I think they're going to be the first one to give. They're going to be the first one to really force a fight here.
Well, Czaru is going to be continuing to split push up here, but still, the thing is, it's dangerous to be going that far up here because of the fact that there are there's no turrets around there, and Lemondogs, you know, you can't cover every last inch of their jungle, let's be honest about it.
Don't tell that to Libik, he might try.
Although I think Libik has been going a pretty solid step towards achieving that. But this is going to be a dragon, and this is going to tip them over that 10,000 gold.
And what are they waiting for?
I think Christmas.
They want to beat that 105,000 gold that SK had earlier on today.
Could be a long game that we're in for then.
Could be.
No, but you can understand it at the same time. I mean, every game is important in the LCS.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. It's a long season, don't get me wrong, but every game, especially between teams that are ranked right now 3rd and 4th on 5 wins, 4 losses, and 4 wins, 5 losses respectively, that this is an important one for them as we see Destiny being popped. And he's going to go to the top to continue his split push.
Yep. And we have to keep in mind, like you're saying, the wins. Like, think about what they're working towards, at the end of the season. It's the World Finals. It's not, just a huge chunk of money that you get like in the spring split, but it's a chance to be on the world stage. Everyone's seeing you, how many millions of people end up watching, and to be able to call yourself one of the best teams in the world. So you're definitely right. Every game definitely matters, but the thing is, when you go against the teams from the other regions, in the if you do get to the World Finals, they're not going to let something like this slide. Like, you have to fix a problem like this very early on.
Well, you can only imagine that Meet Your Makers don't believe that they're as far ahead as they actually are.
That's what I'm thinking.
I can't see another fully rational explanation for this one currently. Just to touch on the items here again, seeing Phantom Dancer and the Last Whisper now added into the Bloodthirster for Draven. Also, for Twisted Fate, now got a Void Staff on top of his Rabadon's Death Cap and a Lich Bane. For Aurelia, going in for that Hex String.
Yeah, so he doesn't want to get bursted down by Nukeduck, but again, he doesn't have that much damage. Czaru going to go ahead against Zorozero, does some good damage to him, but still, it's not enough to kill him, and we do see Nukeduck in the vicinity to try to go in on him.
Can't kill a Shen, I'm afraid, at this point. Czaru needs probably about another 200, 300 AP for that, and a little bit more time in that lane to get things going. Libik, with the Oracle still, he's going to be clearing out more wards. wewillfailer finally took the dive and picked up a Oracle of his own as about 4,000 wards go down at once there. And the support's going to be getting their money back unless your jungler takes it away from you, as Mokatte just did there. I still don't get that. I mean, support play, he's got to buy those oracles. You could at least give him the 25 gold for each ward that he clears.
Yeah, and then you can also, on the other side of that, feed the money over to someone else. We do see the ultimate anticipate coming in. Actually going to push middle, but it's a Jarvan. He gets away, so Dexter not too worried. I mean, see, okay, so this is what was really confusing to me is that back in the last split, the teams that had problems closing out games didn't win them. And the teams that were, the top 4 teams that we saw back in Season 2 were able to close out the games.
MYM aren't even trying, there's a difference
that's what's weird, is that Meet Your Makers, they started off so strong in the split, and they were so aggressive, but their aggression just completely changed. They're now really passive, they're going for Baron here, but Lemondogs, they're going to scare him off it, and Meet Your Makers just going to back away most likely.
Yeah, Libik taking a bit of damage there, and that was the most thrilling Baron dance we've seen up to now. Half of Libik's health gone. It's a new record, I think, in these 32 minutes for now. It's actually a really low-scoring game as well for, how developed it is. It's only 32 minutes, which is not actually that long. But it's at 5-4 in kills. Meet Your Makers, they grouped up, take a turret, group up, take a turret, group up, take a turret. And now
they stopped like 15 minutes ago doing that.
Stop taking turrets because, quite frankly, I think they feel it's a step too far for them right now to be starting to go under those inhibitor turrets to get things. Pretty sure they want a Baron at this point. If we look at the gold there, between Twisted Fate and Kassadin, 14,500 to 7,900. You surely realize that difference as a player.
I would hope so. I would definitely hope so. I mean, you would expect it. They should know. But I mean, in the end, it's their decision to do what they want.
Of course.
If they want to take it slow, if they want to take it fast, and if they want to, use it as practice being in the situation. But I don't really think the situation comes around that often. But looks like Baron might be started up again. I think this is Libik's 17th Oracle now. As it will be started, and they're taking this down, and no one in Lemondogs actually in the vicinity to stop this. So it looks like they finally might get Baron here, Joe.
Don't speak too soon, but it could happen. We do have the two-shot barrage, and that is going to come in, and now they realize, oh, they're quite far done with it this time around, and there is the pickup for Meet Your Makers. Is that going to be what they've been waiting for here to actually start to push in, and really going to be going home here and finishing up whatever item Kubon decides to go in for their next? Already got that Giant's Belt in at this point, so expected him to build something in with that.
I think they just wanted to farm Baron like they farmed Dragon. Like, they're not going to push, they just wanted to, want the extra gold, want the buff, but they've got to be pushing out. Like, they have to. They have such a huge lead, 13,000 almost at this point. Like you mentioned before, the mid laners, Czaru almost double the CS, or sorry, not double CS, but well, he is double CS, but almost double the gold. But we did see Czaru actually pick up a Deathfire's Grasp, which it's not a bad item in Twisted Fate, but it's not typically an item you see him pick up.
I can't remember the last time we said the difference between two mid laners CS was 180. That's a big margin for Twisted Fate. And a margin that you can actually see to gauge how far ahead you actually are in the game as well. As you said, DFG now added in to his arsenal. We've got that Warmogs now for Mokatte, so he's a lot chunkier and a lot tankier. On the other side, Randuin's Omen finished with that Sunfire Cape for the Shen. We've got the Runic Bulwark, something that we don't actually have over for Meet Your Makers at this point, so they decided against that. Czaru is going to destiny in towards the rest of his team here around blue.
He's not doing a split push, Joe. He's actually joining his team here. We might see a fight break out in the next 5 minutes, hopefully, as it's going to be coming around. But he's grouping up, and this means that they want to make something happen. He's going to split push. And Meet Your Makers, with that Oracle, are they going to wait for someone to face check? Because they might be able to get a very easy pick on him. Well,
I can't remember the last time that Lemondogs have ventured into their own jungle, really, without having those wards down. So I think the likelihood of someone face-checking right there next to the blue buff at this point is pretty slim. There's another dragon for Meet Your Makers. And Nukeduck here, he's going to be waiting. But, he's Kassadin. He's slippery enough he can get himself away from that. It's actually Zorozero going to be jumped on there. And, of course, he can just taunt himself away. Nukeduck and Dexter are actually waiting here. They're going to go in. They're going to go in on towards Czaru. He's going to get knocked up. He's a dead man here. Nice kill coming out for Lemondogs. But how many more can they get? Probably not a lot here as Kubon gets one. Makler going to pick one up. The taunt comes in on towards Mokatte, but Kubon is right on top of the Dexter here for this one. They see the flashes as Lemondogs try desperately to escape. That ends in a 2-for-1 in favor of Meet Your Makers, and they might be able to finally get in onto inhibitor turret.
I think you spoke too soon. But they saw right there that, wow, Lemondogs, even killing Czaru right off the bat when he has that much CS, that much gold total, they still couldn't win the fight. You saw how much damage Makler did with that Bloodthirster Fan Answer Last Whisper combo, where wewillfailer just dropped insanely fast. But Meet Your Makers backed off in the end, which is honestly kind of surprising. They don't need Czaru for this. They're up against 2 tanks and 1 DPS out of Tabzz. Like, they could probably dive that turret on these guys.
I have to say, though, from Lemondogs' point of view, that was actually a really cool setup that they had going on there. 2 men just hiding there, and after how this has gone, Meet Your Makers never guessed in a million years that there were going to be 2 men hiding in that brush there on that bottom lane. So, nice little setup from Lemondogs. Just see the teleport coming in for Czaru. He's got his destiny available. Don't worry about that one, guys. And now Meet Your Makers start to work their way in. Dexter is actually waiting off to the side. And it looks like Lemondogs, they're feeling like their only comeback in this game is to literally set traps.
Yeah, they kind of need to go for a fight. And I'm so surprised Lemondogs didn't try to kill Makler right off the bat, because Czaru, yeah, he's gonna be really painful to deal with, but Makler, like, he's 80 carry, we're late game, we're 38 minutes in, you got to get rid of him right away. And right now Dexter, he's not being spotted here. But obviously he's very slippy. He's able to get over the wall if he does get seen, as he does right there. And it looks like Meechmakers with this wave, they might be getting some damage onto this turret.
Czaru can actually do a lot of damage here. They are going to hook in Zorozero. And he's not the target that you want to be pulling anywhere near your team. Want to get that taunt over the entire bunch of them. But right now, Meechmakers running things down. Of course, the Baron buff has now run out, and looks like we might have to see another Baron before Meechmakers go for a push.
I think is what did they accomplish off that Baron? 2 kills.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna leave it at that. I mean,
well,
it's a Baron buff.
That's all they did, actually,
yeah.
So you can leave it at that, because there was nothing more.
It's a Baron buff when you already had 13,000 gold lead. I mean, what more could you possibly want at that point to take a turret down, to finish a game?
20,000 gold lead, which is what they've pretty much got now. That could obviously go a little bit further. And we are almost going to see double CS for Twisted Fate over Kassadin for this one, which, considering that number is 400 to 200, that's actually kind of ridiculous.
It is. I mean, considering how, well, okay, I was going to say long, but how quick the game has been so far in terms of 39 minutes, having more than 10 farm a minute. It's very, very good job by him. But he hasn't been able to make plays off it. Like, you have all the money in the world, but if you don't kill someone, if you don't fight, what's the point of it? You know, you're letting them farm up. You're letting them get to the point in the game where they're going to have a lot of damage and be able to actually take one of you out right away, which we saw happen to Czaru. So, I mean, Meechmakers, they might have actually even thrown the game, but just dragging it out this long.
Well, I think if there was ever a game for cheering the ward kills, this could possibly be it. As Meechmakers going the hard way, Libik again. Got himself an Oracle. Pretty sure he actually gets a bulk discount from the shop by this point. He's actually bought that many of them. He's a very loyal customer for those Oracles in every week for a fresh one. He's got the Giant's Belt in there as well, a couple of Ruby Crystals, so he's actually pretty tanky for an army.
And he's got a lot of health, so he's trying to soak up a lot of damage, but the thing is, he's not going to be focused down by Lemondogs. Nope. But watch, right as I say that, they're going to focus him down right here in a second. But I mean, that's not the target they want to kill. They got to get rid of Makler, Czaru, and Kubon, who hasn't really built an item in quite a while now I think about it. The Bilge Rod of Cutlass has been it, but it looks like Meechmaker's gonna try to... I'm not gonna say it. I don't want to jinx it. They might try to siege the turret down.
Well, I think the problem is that the dredge lines there from Mokatte, both times that we've seen him, have landed onto Shen, which is just not the target. Neither is Jarvan, as we are going to see Mokatte actually get hooked into this one. They might be forced to fight. wewillfailer gets absolutely destroyed, and Meechmaker's going to back away from this one. Mokatte almost went down, but the Baron, is coming up in just over 20 seconds time.
Oh no, they're trying to bait Lemondogs in here. They might be able to make something happen.
No, they're going to throw the flag in. As we are going to see Echo Prism actually landing on 2. It's onto the 2 tanky men, but they've switched over towards Nukeduck. Zorozero taking a lot of damage, but as is Kubon right now. Dexter going to be walking himself away. Czaru going to join the fight. Tabzz all alone there. He's finished off, and that will be 3 kills overall. Nukeduck actually survived with nothing now. He's going to be hunted down by Kubon, and that will be 4. They're going to go for the Baron, though, before they make another push.
And considering that this much of a goal difference, Meechmakers having so many items at this point, look how close that fight was in the end, where they almost killed Kubon, they almost killed Mokatte right off the bat, Czaru almost died. Like, they almost won that fight. If the execution was a little bit different, Tabzz might have been able to clean up, but that is the second Baron of the game going to Meechmakers now. They're going to go home and buy up a couple more items as Makler, 3,000 gold.
A lot of gold. They're all sat on a lot of gold right now. Makler,
3,000 gold almost.
3,000 gold, 1,600 for Czaru, 2,800. Let's call that 3,000 as well. Why not for Kubon? They can buy a lot of things here. Well, if they don't realize now that they can push for the win, I think I'm off home. No, obviously not really. But we'll see what they end up picking up with all that money that they've been earning here. Looks like they want to get that wave down at the bottom, which means that Makler's going to be sitting more like 3.5k by the time he actually does decide to go home from this one. And it's funny because Meechmakers have had such a stranglehold on the game, but they've actually got less wards down now in the Lemondogs jungle than I think we've seen pretty much all game, which is kind of strange considering that they've been caught out by that trap before.
I think I know why. Because Libik bought every single ward possibly in the store and there's none left.
Because he bought a Warmogs instead. That's what he went for after that. But he has just put a ward up towards that blue buff, which Nukeduck was actually just sniffing around there. Actually will be the Destiny. Czaru going to join the rest of his team. I mean, he's pretty mobile with both that Destiny in there and those distortion boots as well, which obviously means his teleport is going to be on the cooldown even further. So he can be zipping around the map all over the place. Not really done too much in terms of split pushing, though, actually.
Yeah, if he split push with the Lich Bane, with the amount of AP he has.
It's a dancing fish right there.
Just imagining Libik as he's so tall, so buff.
I don't want to imagine
anything
that you're imagining.
No, I wasn't even going that direction. That was your mind. I was saying plain Nami. And, like, I don't know. Yeah. Imagine him on Soraka would be kind of funny.
Exactly. So, right now, Meet Your Makers are going to be pushing up. Oh, there's a hook on towards Kubon. Not followed up, though, here. And right now, they are going to get some damage down onto the turret. Are they going to be able to finish it off here? Actually, Mokatte going to dredge line away. They've still got minions in there, so they could still be hitting this turret. There we go. There it is. The inhibitor turret going down. You'd imagine that this inhibitor itself will be falling straight afterwards as well. And Meet Your Makers, well in the driving seat in this game, are going to take the first inhibitor after 43 minutes. And that's with, I think, about 35 of them being in a solid lead.
Yep. That is, I mean, they've been in the lead for, I think, well, no, not 40 minutes. Lemondogs obviously played very well in the beginning, but 35, that's about right, Joe, to be honest. And they're just going to back away now, maybe push middle lane, let this bottom Superman waves push up. Ideally, that's what they're going to do. We'll see if that actually happens, if it comes into fruition. But, God, he's just too tanky, and you saw Libik soak up the damage out of Nukeduck. Like, he took a Q off of him, didn't drop him anywhere because of that Warmog, because of the regen he's going to get off of that, plus Baron. Like, he can take a lot of damage.
Well, right now, Meet Your Makers are going to be heading towards the second inhibitor turret. Mokatte could just stand under it right now.
I thought he was healing more than he was taking off that.
I think he could just stand under it right now and just take all those hits from the turret. But Meet Your Makers still a little bit wary of getting themselves in there. That Baron buff has not got too much time left on it, Jason. We may be looking at Baron number 3.
Oh, I'm so excited now. We might see as many as EG got earlier on today. Actually, oh, sorry, that was SK, actually, who surpassed EG the amount of Barons they've taken in a game, but they've got Baron buff. Nukeduck is behind him. He's got to be careful here. Obviously, he's going to be able to get over that wall and be fine, but now he might get caught by Czaru. Yeah,
Czaru actually coming in. Dead. There's a stun, and he's a dead man from this. Oh, no! He actually gets over there with the lantern. That was the Draven ultimate. I told you he was dead. I knew that was going to happen. Great move with the lantern, but not quite enough to actually hold him off. There are the minions gone. Finally, Mokatte says, guys, I'm pretty sure between us we can tank this turret down. We are going to see inhibitor number 2 going down. Nukeduck's not up for 50 seconds here. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Meet Your Makers might just try and finish this game right here, right now. As actually they are going to be going in towards this one. Dexter right at the back will put down a good cataclysm. Locks up 4 men from that one. Tabzz going low. wewillfailer going very low. The Stand United from Zorozero will actually take him right back onto the fountain. But the Nexus turrets are taking damage right now. There's one. Are they going to be able to finish off? Actually, Dexter will slide in once again. Libik and Czaru are both going very, very low here, but Zorozero will die. Tabzz is locked up in the Aqua Prison, and this is going to be the finish for Meet Your Makers. Dexter is going to be starting to fall. A good hook and a slide away from Dexter will get him back, but the Nexus turrets have gone down. The Nexus is going to be focused, and that will be Meet Your Makers picking up a drawn-out victory here, but a victory nonetheless to put them 6-4 here in the summer split of the European LCS.
A very quick victory by them, 46 minutes in. Great job by them when they're leading about 40 minutes of that entire game. But yeah, very long drawn-out game, very unlike Meet Your Makers. I'm not sure if that was on purpose, or like we said earlier, if they weren't sure of how far they were ahead, or they just didn't want to throw a game. But still, gotta give them credit, just like you said, pretty much holding onto their standings, keeping them up towards the top side of the ladder right now, and they gotta feel good after that.
I think they feel good after that one. That was it was one of those slow grinding victories, which, you know, counts for exactly as many wins as a 20-minute stomp game at the end of the day. You know, you get the win. It's not quite got the style points, I'll admit, but as I said, a win's a win there, and Meet Your Makers will happily take that one with them. I think for everyone else's sake, though, they should probably do it a different way next time.
Yeah, I think for all of us' sake, should probably do it a little bit quicker, maybe about 26 minutes, a little bit faster. But like you said, gotta give him credit. I mean, Czaru, 461 farm at the end of that game to his counterpart with 234. Like, he
almost doubled him.
Almost, and he had a full item build for probably about 20 minutes of that game.
Yeah, I thought he was going to start selling his items and going AD Twisted Fate just for the fun of it there at the end, but decided against it. I think it was probably for the best. But yeah, MYM make a solid win, really, really good win for them. And it was one of those... I'm trying to find the right words for this so that I don't offend anyone. Less beautiful wins, I'm going to call it, because it wasn't quite the, the ones that we all love to watch and to cast as well, which is, the fight, alternate versus Fnatic, let's say, and alternate versus EG as well was a very similar game. But as I said, a win's a win, and if you can follow your plan right down to a T, MYM makers have got to be happy with it.
And yeah, I mean, they're keeping in mind, they're not here to impress the crowd, to impress the viewers. Yep. They're here to win games. They're here to get their job done. They've worked so hard for so many years as a stable lineup to do this, and they're not going to take it lightly, just like you said.
Well, that's it from us for now here on the Castadis. We're going to head over to Quickshot, who's going to break down that game.
Thank you very much, Joe and Jason. It was a slower-paced game, but it was one that MYM completely controlled. They lost 3 members very early on an invade that just went terribly wrong. I mean, they got caught out, they lost a lot of players, but they bounced back from that very, very well. After about 12 or 13 minutes on the clock, Czaru was just in complete control of that mid lane. Nukeduck was never in a position to nuke anybody because he simply did not have the gold or the resources available to him. He was not farming enough. He was pushed out of the map. And there was at one point there, Joe and Jason, you guys were talking about how much wards, how much vision those guys had in and around the jungle. I don't think I've seen a more perfect circle of vision from any team in the LCS. We did have 1 or 2 moments of action, and we're actually going to pull one of them up on the replay in just a moment. It was when MYM decided to siege up this mid lane tower. So let's start the replay, run it through at normal speed, and you'll notice that Mokatte is actually trying to make a play. He's trying to get in a position where they can fight, but MYM do not have a tower dive team, so it's very risky to go all in. They do manage to catch on Dexter. For the first time, it wasn't Zorozero Shen, and initially, things looked good for Lemondogs. It looked like they were going to be able to pick up a kill, but unfortunately, not all jumping in on the same target at the right time ended up costing wewillfailer his life. MYM not going to fall prey to the same gank bush idea that happened earlier. They, in fact, set the trap up. A great double bubble from Libik, and pay close attention to Czaru's flash. He flashes out of the True Shot barrage, gets away from the Cataclysm, gets out of range of the enemies, comes back in, and lands the gold card on Ezreal. And it was just another clean fight. That ends it here in the replay. That ended up in resulting with MYM picking up the second Baron of the game, allowed them to push back towards the middle, and basically just strangle Lemondogs out of their matchup. They starved them of gold, they starved them of towers, they starved them of vision, and they picked up a victory. So congratulations to them. I believe